In today's video, we're going over Astra and all you need to know about her kit. What's going on, guys? It's your host Sergeant Frost, and today we're bringing you an updated Astra guide for 2023. Astra is somewhat difficult to play, but super fun and rewarding once you get her down. We'll be going over her full kit, as well as practical tips and playstyles that you need to implement in your gameplay. Without further ado, let's jump right in. So, what's an Astra? How do you Astra? Well, Astra is Valorant's fourth controller, and arguably the most difficult one. Of course, since she's a controller, you gotta do the smokes. When your team attacks sites, you smoke the angles. When your enemies attack sites, you smoke the other angles. If you're unsure what smokes to throw, watch our best smokes for each map guide. The link is down below in the description. But for now, let's go over what makes Astra unique. A bit like Reyna, Astra has a shared resource pool. She doesn't heal and dismiss obviously, but she does have 4 stars that she can use for whatever she decides most fit. Her C is her gravity well, or commonly referred to as her suck. Her Q is a stun, and her E is a smoke that's hollow, a bit like Omens. But that's not all, she also has an extra ability using F where she takes back a star. Doing this pops a smoke like she used her E, but instead it only lasts a second, and doesn't use a charge. This is particularly useful for quickly crossing short angles, or surprising your opponents with a fake smoke. Which reminds me, in order for her to use any of her non-ultimate abilities, she first has to place stars. To do this, simply press X, your ultimate button. After pressing it, Astra starts to meditate, at which point she's so focused she can't hear any of her surroundings. This allows her to fly over the map and place stars anywhere she likes, regardless of range. Once the stars are down, she can turn them into one of 4 aforementioned abilities. So let's go a bit deeper into each of them. Starting with her gravity well, her suck or whatever you want to call it. Pressing C on one of your stars transforms them into a small circle which people are pulled to the center of. The force isn't too strong, people can escape and run out of it, especially with their knives out. But it's safe to say that it is super annoying to fight in the middle of. Besides, you can't exactly be sneaky in it either, as you have to run to escape it, shifting won't work. The suck lasts for 2.75 seconds, and if you're still in it by the time it ends, you're vulnerable for 5 seconds, so you take double damage. This makes her suck super useful and versatile. When you're attacking sites, you can use them in common angles so people will be displaced, and potentially vulnerable as well as having a hard time fighting through. But you can also save it to move people off the defuse, or place it in front of a defensive smoke to add an extra element of difficulty for enemies pushing through. A common Astra play is to anchor a site by using 2 stars on a main entrance. Take for example Ascent A. One way you could play there as Astra is putting 1 star in the middle on main, and 1 more a bit towards the site. This way you could silently jump spot back site, smoke when you see an enemy, and if you feel a lot of pressure or realize people are about to run out, you simply hit C, and people will be at the very least slowed down and best case be kept in place and vulnerable. If you play it right, a good Astra can be just as oppressive as a Cypher, Viper, or Killjoy, so she's certainly a force to be reckoned with on the defensive side. One thing I do want to quickly point out though is that the cooldown on these abilities are long. Astra has certainly enjoyed her time as an overpowered must-pick agent, so to stop her from being broken forever, they really had to nerf her hard. Don't worry, she's still absolutely playable, even quite strong, but her star cost was increased to 150 per, while only getting 1 for free, and on her cooldown both her suck and stun were up to 45 seconds. Her smoke cooldown admittedly isn't so bad at 25 seconds, as well as 2 charges, but also her dissipate has the same 25-second cooldown until you can replace the star. Because of these long cooldowns, you have to be mindful about how you use your stars. If you use your suck to help take a site, you probably won't have it to pull the opponents off the defuse. By the way, quick tip that I see a lot of Astras misuse. When you want to use your suck as a post-plant utility, you gotta be very precise about how you place it. Make sure to place the star at the very edge of the max diffuse range, furthest away from the star. If you place it too far from the spike, people will be able to defuse at the edge of the diffuse circle, without getting affected by the suck. If you undershoot it and place it too far in the middle, you'll hit your opponents with the suck, but you won't pull them off the diffuse. Make sure to practice this with a friend, or perhaps in some swift plays. Having no confidence in your pull does suck, but you also don't want to rely on it if you're not sure it'll work. Now, before we continue with the rest of her kit, I quickly want to talk to you about our website ProGuides.com. For those of you who are serious about improving and want to get better as quickly as you can, we highly recommend watching some of our exclusive guides as well as seeking out a mentor through coaching. For just $8 a month, you can get access to everything, so make sure to check it out. Her second ability, also with that same 45-second cooldown, is her stun, officially named Nova Pulse. Her stun is her most likely to use situational ability. She can activate it with any of her other stars, at which point a short 1.25 second animation plays, after which it'll stun any players inside of it for 4 seconds. Of course, a stun is always useful, but for this ability in particular, you should have a good goal in mind, since you can only use 4 abilities in each round and you want to get the most value out of each of them. One way you can use the stun is kind of the same idea as with the pull, where you use it on common enemy positions as your team pushes sites. This is probably the best way in most scenarios, and as long as you effectively time it with your teammates' peaks, it can really have a massive effect. Using your stun in this kind of way makes it so that your team has less angles to worry about, which in return can really help the site hit. Again, over on A side Ascent, I really like to have 2 common smokes on door and heaven, but then also using a suck on sight box, making it difficult to peek our team for any enemies playing there, as well as a stun back Jenny so that anyone going for a timing is heavily discouraged and debuffed. Some people also like to combine suck with the stun on the same place. People are sucked into the spot and are then also stunned because they can't escape quickly. These two abilities work really well together. The suck slows the escape, and since the stun slows the player, they're then perfectly centered in the middle of the suck, unable to move. And they also get hit with the vulnerable at the end of the duration. This type of strategy is very effective on long areas like Pearl B long. Here you can plant for long, sit behind the pillar on the ramp, and use both suck and stun as soon as the enemies tap spike. This will perfectly center the enemies on your suck, making them really easy targets, even through smokes. I will mention that I'm personally not the biggest fan of doing this, unless time is already very low and the suck itself is round insurance. Or maybe you're in a 1v1 and you only need to get 1 kill to win. Doing both is more than often not a bit overkill, and spacing the 2 abilities out makes more sense. Just be careful though, a stun doesn't stop the defuse, so after you concuss you will still have to swing. For her smokes, there's not a whole lot to be said. She uses her smokes just like the rest of her utility. She needs to have a star down, and by pressing E this becomes a smoke. Her smokes are hollow like Omen's, and they're also quite short at 14.5 seconds. Omen in comparison has 15, and Brimstone has a bit over 19 seconds. The biggest advantage is that she can use her smokes across the map. Brimstone is of course very limited in his map presence, but even Omen has a hard time getting impact on the opposite side of big maps like Haven and newly added Lotus. Astra on the other hand does not have that issue. Even from the back of C platform, she can quickly place a smoke over on A long if she needs to, which makes it so that as long as you're aware, you can really help your team with your stars. Of course in the form of smokes, but also with sucks and stuns. What's perhaps more interesting is her F ability, her dissipate. Here she takes back a star that was already placed so that it becomes a smoke for a second and then dissipates. Of course this can be used to simply take back stars that you placed on accident, or if you want to use them for something else, but you can get a lot more creative with them as well. As soon as you call back a star, you don't immediately get it back. You still have to wait 25 seconds, but it's novel since it doesn't consume a charge. This makes it very useful for crossing small areas or even countering operators. Pearl B long to ramp is probably the place where you see this type of smoke used most commonly. Since the cross to ramp is commonly held with an operator, smart Astra players will place the smoke on the corner so that they can see safely across to ramp in the 1-second window that smoke is up. Others take this a step further and use this fake smoke even on rounds no one is going B, so that way the defenders aren't completely sure whether players can be behind the ramp. You can even use the dissipate in positions where enemies normally expect smokes to be in order to try to catch a timing. Enemies see smokes go up and expect them to be solid for roughly 15 seconds, only to catch them with an awful surprise half a second later. It can be a really good play that has the potential to offer you a lot of success. Of course, Astra also has an effective ultimate, in her case Cosmic Divide, coming in at 7 ultimate points. The way you activate your ultimate is by pressing X, then right click followed by selecting the 2 points where you want her ultimate to go. Then you'll see a massive indestructible wall appear, which is bulletproof and also has some sound dampening effects. Abilities go straight through, but since bullets don't, it can kind of be seen as a bulletproof Viper wall. This also allows you to go for certain strategies a simple Viper wall wouldn't permit. On Pearl, for example, one of Astra's best maps, she can use a very strong wall like this. Doing the same wall with Viper wouldn't work. You just get spammed when you go to plant on the box. But with Astra, it works perfectly. Your team can go back to long, and as long as the enemies don't have an Astra wall themselves, it will be incredibly hard to retake. Her ultimate is a great tool to go for specific set plays like this, and in the same way can also be super useful in a retake. But it's not always a straightforward ultimate to use. Using it reactively in the mid-round is very difficult, and since rounds can develop very fast, the wall you used just 10 seconds ago to help your team might become the lifeline the enemy team needs to come out on top in a previously unwinnable round. Moral of the story is be careful how to use it. The bulletproof wall always favors one team, but if you misplace it, that could very well be the enemy's. Now, before we let you roam free in ranked as you try out your favorite new agent, we quickly want to give you some extra tips and advice so that you don't end up falling flat on your nose. First of all, when you're on defense or even on attack for that matter, be careful in your positioning. The complete lack of sound when you're placing your stars is seriously no joke. Never go into astral form in the open. Don't stay in it for longer than you need to, and always be mindful of where your enemies can be. As a defender, it's usually a pretty good rule of thumb to be positioned in an area where you're naturally quite passive. This also allows you to play reactively with your smoke and suck, but it also means that if you need to meditate for a second or 5 since your teammate is screaming and crying for help, begging for a smoke or other utility, you won't be in a dangerous position where you can be punished. Astra is definitely one of the most unique and fun agents in the game, and to be perfectly honest, her difficulty is kind of over-exaggerated. Just have some fun playing the agent, get familiar with your astral form, and you'll quickly see yourself fluently placing utility all over the map as fast as your team needs you to. And that's gonna wrap up the guide. If you have any questions or maybe just enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a comment. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you all in the next one.